Let's stay over in America at the moment and cross to Lara Trump, Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, a regular on this show. Lara, I can't imagine what you're thinking at the moment, so tell me, what's your reaction?
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. This is a New York jury. This is a group of people who, although they may be peers of Donald Trump in a certain manner, they certainly have differing political views. And I think that everybody has said the same thing. It's impossible for Donald Trump to get a fair trial in the city of New York. This was, from the beginning, a trial that never should have seen the light of day. The statute of limitations had run out on it already. Alvin Bragg had to take this from a misdemeanor to a felony to even get it into a courtroom. And then the judge that was chosen, Judge Merchan, miraculously, Erin, has presided over 3 different cases that deal with people in relation to Donald Trump. You have this one with Donald Trump. You had Alan Weisselberg, his CFO, and Steve Bannon. What are the odds that that happens? There aren't any odds on it because it is impossible. This judge was chosen for this trial to weigh the scales from the beginning. He overruled every single time there was an objection from the defense, and he sustained it nearly every time there was an objection from the prosecution. Sitting in that courtroom, it was clear as day. So no surprise to see a jury come back with a guilty verdict. I think it was set in stone from the very beginning. They had this planned, but I can tell you one thing, it will deter Donald Trump 0%. He will continue on. I believe you'll see his poll numbers rise. I believe you'll see support galvanize behind him. And I believe he'll go on to become the 47th president of the United States.
Lara, there was a lot of talk prior to this trial that everything they're throwing at Trump will only help his chances of going back to the White House, particularly mud and things like this. What's your assessment of the impact this has had on his campaign, the trial itself and the verdict?
It's terrifying. I mean, we are supposed to be a free country. You are supposed to have a right as an American citizen to a fair trial. And yet this is the opposite of that. And I think a lot of people, to your point, who maybe even never thought about supporting Donald Trump, look at what they're able to do to a former president, to someone with all the resources that Donald Trump has, and still see what they're able to do to this man. And they say, wow, if they can do this to him, then I don't stand a chance. The average person in this country doesn't have a chance at all if the government decides to go after you. And we've seen the way that they have really been heavy-handed with conservatives, this government of Joe Biden's, over the past several years. It seems like people have been targeted in a way that feels very un-American. And so you couple that with what you've seen happen to Donald Trump, and it has turned people to his side. It has changed a lot of minds, and I think awakened a lot of people in this country. And that's a good thing, because we cannot be asleep. We cannot sit out of this election cycle. It will take every single patriot in this country in order to win this election. And it is a must, because if we have another 4 years of Joe Biden and the Democrats in charge, this country and the rest of the world, I think, are doomed.
Now, you are co-chair of the RNC, the Republican National Committee. I'd love to know, money-wise, the last 6 weeks, what have the donation figures been like? Have you seen an increase in those the more dirt thrown at Donald Trump, the worse the news gets, essentially?
Well, absolutely. Listen, we were able to outraise the Democrats and Joe Biden last month in April by $25 million. And Erin, the really important part that people have to hear is that our average donation is $29. And so that tells you all you need to know. The support from the people of this country are truly behind Donald Trump. Yeah, Joe Biden might have a couple of very big donors that come in and try to drop a lot of money for him, but the real people of this country are supporting Donald Trump for the very reason that they understand what is at stake. They see what they're trying to do to this man. They see what that means overall in the big scheme of things, the grand scheme of things for the future of this country. And they are fighting back, and they're speaking loudly with their wallets, even at a time when we have an abysmal economy, thanks to Joe Biden and his absolutely terrible decision-making and horrific policies. People are still donating to Donald Trump, and they're doing it very loudly and very proudly at this point.
I asked you before this all started how you thought he would handle himself during this trial, and you mentioned family. I saw on your social media this weekend a lovely little video of your little girl in a golf cart with the former president. How has he been throughout? He still manages to switch off, I can see.
I don't know anyone who could have handled this better. Honestly, he's had such a positive and upbeat attitude about all of it, and truly has done something that I think is really a Donald Trump trait, which is turning lemons into lemonade. You look at the fact that they stuck him in Manhattan in this courtroom for weeks on end. They kept him off the campaign trail, but what did he do, Erin? Every day on the way into that courtroom and every day on the way out of that courtroom, he stopped and he talked to the press, and everybody here in America took it live. Everybody heard everything he had to say. And then he went and did stops at bodegas in Harlem, delivered pizzas to the FDNY firefighters, held a rally in the deep blue Bronx in New York, a place Republicans never go. And he had 25,000 people show up. So he has managed to take this entire situation, turn it on its head, and actually make it work to his advantage. It's amazing to see. I'm so proud of all that he's done. I love his attitude. And yeah, when he gets a little bit of time off, he does hit the golf course. And my daughter took her big Pikachu toy out on the golf course with him the other day and said, "Grandpa, can we both ride with you?" And he said, "Of course, get in." So cute.
Oh, I love that. Very, very sweet. And just finally, looking this week at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris attempting to woo the black voters in America. I was watching Fox News a couple of nights ago and saw a young black Democratic voter who said that what they're doing is way too tokenistic, he described it as, and said he's actually going to vote for Trump because it feels more genuine in that space.
It's amazing. You know, there's a problem when the Democrats are having to pander and play identity politics to this sort of level, that it is turning people off. Whenever one of their bases, the black vote in this country, is turning away from them. And it's really been amazing to see. You look at the support for Donald Trump with black voters in 2020, he won around 8% of the vote. Right now, he's polling at 23%. And it's because people want authenticity, Erin. People want someone and something that is genuine. And they can smell a rat whenever they see one. And that's exactly what they've seen with the Democrats. Every 4 years, they come around and say, "You have to vote for us." Heck, Joe Biden in 2020 even said to black voters, "If you don't vote for me, then you ain't black." How insulting is it to people to hear that? We live in a country where every single person has to make up their own mind and gets to make up their own mind. No one owns your vote in the United States of America. And people from all different demographics, whether they're black voters, Hispanic voters, or another bloc that we've seen fully revert to Donald Trump and turn away from Joe Biden, young voters, 18 to 24-year-olds, we're beating Joe Biden, I mean, handily, with young voters in this country. And I think it's because they also want the same thing. They want something authentic. They want somebody that they can actually look at, laugh with, appreciate, and respect. And that's what you get with Donald J. Trump. So it speaks volumes that the Democrats are having to go out and try to get back the black vote. They know they are in deep trouble.
Lara Trump, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to catching up with you again as this plays out. Of course, sentencing still to come and an appeals process. It's going to be a very busy few months, of course, then an election. Lara Trump, thank you so much.
You got it. Anytime. Thank you, Erin.